Nico,
I'm Olivia.
Iamaleava.
No, I'm Olivia.
I'm Olivia. Anyway, Tennessee. I'm done trying to. Don't. Luca's about to try to tell me how to do it. I'm done. Nico, the quarterback at Tennessee. He's. I think they said wasn't he getting like 2.6 million? He wants 4 million. And Tennessee, Josh Heupel was like, nah, we're not renegotiating. Deuces. What's your initial reaction to the way Tennessee's handled this? What does this say about college athletics and where it's moving forward?
Oh, I'm absolutely stunned that you didn't go out there and pat yourself on the back, Whitlock, because you're very adept at that. With these words, I told you so. Because quite frankly, Whitlock, to give you credit, you told us so. And this is where the NIL has gone nil and void. And I keep hearing the phrase inflection point as if somehow this will be the point where now sanity reigns. But to back up, Jason, I remember when Iamaleava got the deal. It was supposed to be $8 million. And I'm thinking, wow, over the course of his career, this kid basically made generational wealth at age 18. Now, everyone thought that was nuts. But what happened was the market changed, and not for the better. And when it came to the overall structure of college football, where quarterbacks coming off, I would say, mediocre years like Carson Beck at Miami are getting 4. That's why he wanted to renegotiate. But this is what happens when you go into something that seems to be utopia without any guardrails. And Jason, I find it amazing that people are trying to compare this to, well, coaches do this all the time. They do not. They don't hold out and say, well, if you don't pay me more money, I'm not coaching the next game. They may leave jobs at the drop of a hat, but they don't do it in this way. I'm actually stunned that it turned out this way, but I really shouldn't have been. A couple of years ago, Miami had a situation with Tyler Van Dyke where after the spring game, spring practice had concluded, and we're thinking, okay, that's our team going into next season. He was linked to Alabama, and he leveraged a better NIL deal going into that season, coming off a very mediocre one. So there's so many things to be said. I think that Tennessee had no choice but to cut bait, because if your quarterback acts like this, he has lost the ability to lead men or young men. And once he didn't show up to practice, according to Coach Heupel, that was the end. I thought Josh Heupel handled this very correctly. He was gracious as he had to be. But I love this term, and I don't know how long he's going to be able to say it, but nobody is bigger than our power T, including myself. So I hope it's an inflection point. I hope this is ground zero for this whole NIL transfer era. But you know what, Jason? At this point, I'm just a full-blown cynic.
I want to read a couple of tweets from Joel Klatt. The first one is, I do find it interesting that Tennessee created this void in a sense when they fought their infractions surrounding NIL, which led to the NCAA sending a memo to their members basically saying there is no enforcement. This broken system must be fixed, and the path is a CBA. So that's one Joel tweet.
Yeah.
Let me read a second Joel tweet. NIL and the XFR portal did not ruin college football. The pathetic and inept NCAA not enforcing rules is threatening to ruin college football. So we need a governing body to step in and enforce mutually agreed upon rules. It is really that simple. Let me read one more from Joel to get his full thoughts in context. Here's the last one. This Tennessee Iamaleava situation is wild and yet totally predictable. Of course, this was going to happen when there are no guardrails and rules to govern the business and movement of sports players. You may not like what Nico is doing, but it is certainly his right. So,
Okay.
for most of my adult life, I've struggled with my health, feeling sore and low energy. But Relief Factor, it's changed all that. I feel better, I move better, I think better. And here's the thing, it's only $20. You've got nothing to lose. In fact, about 70% of those who order Relief Factor go on to order more. Begin your journey, start your transformation, reclaim your life. relief factor. That's Joel covering all the bases, in my opinion. But this has synergy with what we're going to be doing on this show in the middle of this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I think all of professionalized sports, professional sports, are at an inflection point and need some sort of reset. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Jay Scapatak's going to be in town, and we're going to talk about how to revamp the NBA. And I'm calling it the Great NBA Reset or the Great Reset NBA. But same thing, college football, professional football, all of these professional sports to me need a great reset and a do-over. Let's just deal with the college football aspect. This is where I don't think name, image, and likeness is a sustainable, fair system that will service the athletes. I don't think it'll service the athletes. I don't think it'll service sports fans. The athletes will make money, a handful of them, but it's money that I do think eventually is going to harm them. It's going to compromise their educational system, and it's clearly hurting college football overall. But Joel is kind of letting NIL and the transfer portal off the hook. Do you?
Well, let's make this clear, and I said this to you before. The NIL was supposed to be about that popular, iconic player, whether it's their jersey number or the baggy shorts of the Fab Five, Tim Tebow's number 15, or players can create their own merchandise or get a local car dealership to say, hey, we want to use your name, image, and likeness and give you an endorsement deal. What it morphed into quickly was pay for play in the guise of these collectives. Every major program has a bunch of group of boosters that pay into it. And in essence, every program now has their own salary cap. And they ask you for donations because they're basically saying, hey, if you want the talent to stay or to come, you got to give in. It's not just your ticket money anymore. It's just not your yearly dues. You got to give to the collective. All right. So that right there, right off the top, was ruined because it became pay for play. Now, the transfer portal. Jason, I've said this to you for at least a year. All you really had to do was to keep in place this one rule. If you decide to leave your program, you sit out 1 year. I think that alone would curb a lot of the movement for two reasons. Number one, these young kids have no patience. They want to play immediately. And if the kids are being poached, which a lot of them are, with the inducement of quote unquote NIL, teams aren't paying for you to redshirt. They want you to play immediately. So again, the lack of guardrails really, I think, was one of the big problems here because the NIL is not being used the way it's supposed to, and the transfer portal is now being abused. And Jason, I'll just end it like this here. There is no difference between college and pro football, except pro football has more rules. Players are under multi-year contracts, so everybody knows these amount of players, their contracts are expiring, and we're going to make a decision whether we're going to pursue them as free agents. In college football, Mario Cristobal said it himself last week after a practice. He said, bottom line is this. Every player is really a transfer portal guy. We just don't know it yet, and neither do they. That's the reality.
Well, I'm going to tell you why he's even more right than that. He knows it every day.
Yes.
That's a transfer.
Yes.
Because he's always constantly recruiting the guy, trying to keep him out of the transfer portal.
Yes.
So the recruitment and the butt kissing never stops, and the coaching and the nurturing and the development never really begins. They're PlayStation players. They're NFL or franchise mode of college football. That's all they are. And so there has to be a comprehensive overhaul of everything they're doing. That they're, Steve, I don't know if you were this way, but a lot of the enjoyment I got from college football was the high school recruiting process.
Yes.
That was signing day was a big deal. and then you get at Ball State, we got this 3-star kid that was maybe going to go to Iowa, but he came to us. And then you watched him develop for 3 or 4 years, and and now when we get a Carson Steele, the running back for the Chiefs, we know what we're only going to have him for a year or two, because as soon as he
get poached,
becomes a great player, he's going to get poached. And so I don't enjoy college football, Ball State, the way that I used to. And I think the same thing is going on at other schools, even the big schools. You don't get part of the love and passion you develop is watching the guys develop and feel like you were a part of that process. You watch the kid grow up. They just go from school to school to school. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.